Is it recording? All right, and we back chilling that energy. Um, Welcome to the pod. We got Mario. Got the options. How you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm doing great. Grateful to have you on today.
Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I'm grateful to have you on today. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. In this episode, we're gonna be talking about manifesting wealth and abundance. Uh, and from you and your experiences, what would you say is like the key traits to manifesting wealth, like the key things you got to do and be focused on?
So, so for me, my in my experience, the key to manifesting wealth is to focus on yourself, focus on your flaws, to focus on your attributes. I do a lot of writing. I always have a notepad and pen to where I can take notes and, just kind of analyze daily, the things that you may have done that day that you want to get better at, or the things that you did that day that you can repeat. To
Mhm.
me, it's all about like self-planning, self-awareness.
Yeah, writing is very spiritual and it's very like intimate and stuff like that. It's a powerful thing, especially like one thing I did is writing down affirmations as they already happened. So, for example, in 2019 when I first had my spiritual awakening, I uh I wanted business partners, right? So I was like, I am grateful for the business partners I have in my life.
Hmm.
And as I was doing that, right, I I wrote it down on a piece of paper and I was listening to high frequency music, 963. And months to weeks to days later, I manifested a business partner, you know what I'm saying? So
Excellent.
yeah, writing is very magical and planning out stuff too, like, being structured and, writing stuff
Hmm.
down so you don't have to rely on your mind so much. Less
Hmm.
headaches.
And it's kind of like a confirmation of your thoughts, right? Because we know what we're thinking. So sometimes when you take them and put them on paper, now that actually turns into, like you said, a business plan, right? Because it goes
Yeah.
from just being a dream in your mind to now being a plan on paper, and it gives you those structured steps that you can take to accomplish it.
Yeah. And that structure is really important, especially when you're like building something and like doing so many other things. Like you may have a business on one end, you may be doing investing on the other thing. So it's like a lot to keep up with just thinking about it all the time.
Exactly.
And another important thing from my journey is faith and trust in the process, like believing in yourself, even when people that you may have naysayers saying like that's not the right path, especially when you're around people who may have not even a thought of something to be possible, like millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of just gotta like tune that out and just like you said, focus on yourself. And
Exactly. You have to believe it, right? In order for it to come true in a sense. Like it's like like a fairy tale,
well,
like you have to
yeah,
just keep believing that that Prince Charming and you the glass slipper, you got to just believe that that's possible. And in believing, you do have to kind of align yourself, like we said,
yeah,
with structure to receive that manifestation.
yeah. And there you may go through there may be certain things you need to learn. That's where knowledge will come in, like learning all these ways you could like build wealth, whether it's stock investing, crypto, starting a business
Hmm.
and something you're passionate about.
Hmm.
And I think that's important, like things that you're passionate about that excites you. Because if you're not excited about it, then you're not gonna want to do that day in and day out. But when you're passionate about it, it kind of like it gives back to you. It's an even exchange. It's not soul
Hmm.
draining, so you'll keep being inspired to do it every day. You know.
Exactly. Exactly. I definitely agree. And like you mentioned for like investing and like trading, like I trade options in the stock market. So when I started about January 2021, and I started right after the COVID lockdown.
Hmm.
And a lot of the inspiration from that came from just being affected by the lockdown to where my business that I had, an e-commerce business, it basically fell.
Yeah.
I just moved to a new city and state, from where I'm from, which is San Francisco, California, to Las Vegas. So I had to basically restructure my entire life. And in learning that, I understood that I did not actually have the financial structure in order to keep making my money make money. I could manifest the money, I could get all these opportunities, but then I would blow it or have these big splurge offs that did not necessarily align with my ultimate plan. So that's where I actually started to get involved with investing and trading, where I started to learn how my money could make money and how that was
Mm.
important to continuing on the ultimate goal of what I was trying to achieve.
Hmm. Though them investing accounts can be like savings accounts because they give more like year on year than a savings
Mhm.
account. A account right now only gets like 3-4%. I think it's 4% right now because of the interest rate hikes. The index funds are like 10% year over year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Yes, so
exactly.
that's double what 4% could give you.
Exactly. And also, a big part of getting educated in not only the stock market, but just the economy in general was
Yeah,
just seeing some of these companies that, like my little company, had failed and it was no coming back for it essentially. But there were these companies that were flourishing at a time when everything else was falling. So it was very important for me to see the structure behind it in order for
mm,
me to understand like exactly what was going on. So there's a saying in the trading community or in investing where they say follow the money, right? So that means you want to go to the very top, who's signing the checks, and you want to learn their rhythm for how it is that they actually set their things up. Then you want to inevitably you want to mimic that, right? Because like,
yeah,
why try to fix something that's already working? So that's where you hear about like the Warren Buffett 10% method, take that and run with it for trades. There was a lot of psychology into like not only manifesting wealth, but also into um, sustaining it, right?
yeah,
Like to be able to sustain it after it comes.
yeah. Because there's a lot of people who aren't ready. Like with the people who win the lottery, for example, they'll get like $300 million, and but they won't even be prepared for it. So they
Hmm.
so they blow it and they spend it poorly, and then they're like back to where they were like a year later. So it's about
Exactly.
preparing yourself for what you want, and there's like multitude of ways to doing that. And I think investing into in anything in general, you're gonna naturally watch the world because you're always paying attention to like what you could invest in next. So,
Hmm.
so by when I started investing, I was around the same time you did, 2021. Uh, what I noticed when I started doing it was I started paying attention to the world. I knew about like all these different EV companies. Like besides Tesla,
Hmm.
you got Lucid Motors, you had Neo, and you had like all these different ones. And then
XPath,
yeah,
Ford jumped in.
yeah,
Hmm.
and Hyundai dropped one too, I think, or one of these
Hmm.
companies. Yeah. So you got all these different things, and then you learn about all these different sectors, and you just kind of put it in the back of your mind, be like, that's a good one. Potential.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it keeps you looking at what's going on in the world, and it kind of helps you out in a way. Um,
Absolutely.
how would you shift your mindset if you was talking to someone whose mindset wasn't where it needs to be? What are some keys to shifting your mindset into like focusing or the level of focus that you need to be on?
So definitely um, being active, right? You want to take walks, you want to try to hike, you want to get out and you want to get your body moving, right? When you
Yeah,
get your body moving, like the endorphins from that is top tier. You can actually become more confident from that. You're going to have better energy, and that's going to help you to lead yourself to your next step, right? So staying active. And after that, I would say get a notebook, write down a plan, have a plan, even if it's just notes right at the moment. Just at least take some of the information from your mind of what you want, put it on paper. And then I would say eating well is another part of it, because what we consume is very, very important to how our brain functions and how our body
Yeah,
moves and how our energy is the next day. For me, I have to get up really, really early on the West Coast to participate in the stock market. But there's some days that I could stay up really, really late, where I started to notice that that does affect exactly how I operate in the market, how my money comes, how, how my day goes, because essentially I didn't give myself enough time to rest. So you want to be able to rest as well.
yeah.
That's very
I
important.
think it's about balance. Like, you want to get these goals done and do what you want to do, but because you be so into it, you kind of want to do it all the time, and you just be thinking
Hmm.
about it all the time. So it's hard to like shut off. But I think you get to a point of balance of balancing between sleep, enjoying life a little bit because that's important too. Like just taking a step back and
Hmm.
it makes you more productive in certain ways. And you mentioned diet. It's also our diet is also what we pay attention to and paying attention to stuff on the frequency of what we want to attract.
Hmm.
And so paying attention to what like billionaires are doing and like how they're doing stuff business wise and
Hmm.
investment wise and just taking notes and just looking at them like a mentor and just learning things that we need to learn is important.
Absolutely.
Before investing, how long have you had your own business for?
So I started my first company when I was 9 years old, and it was actually a hair braiding and beading business.
Okay.
I was neighbors with this one kid who we would get into so many different adventures together that one day I was like, well, let's come up with a business. I could braid the hair and we'll use the beads that you have. We'll do it for $5. And we went and we made a business flyer. We printed it. We took it to all the different kids in the neighborhood. And we were very known in our neighborhood in California for being like the young kids that were like always thinking of a business and like going for it. So that was
Okay.
actually my first business. And my second business actually came when I was 19 years old. And that was a nonprofit organization for recycling. Me and one of my other friends had thought of like doing a mobile recycling pickup company. And we ended up partnering with a local recycling plant that would help us along the way with advertising in order for us to find
Mm,
these different businesses to pick up different recyclable items from. So I'm 34, 35 now. So I've had a long history of like entrepreneurship. I've worked jobs, I've worked in corporation for marketing, for branding, but inevitably entrepreneurship is something that is just in me. I'm always
mm,
thinking of something. I tell people business ideas,
mm,
hey, take this, run with it, like I'm just like a creative minded person. So
mm.
I use it in all different kinds of areas.
That's dope. Using your creativity when you're like kind of like restricted sometimes, maybe at a job that is not treating you or
Mm.
like seeing you how you're supposed to be seen. Did you start the business or did you go from like slowly into the business or did you just like quit the job and you went
I
right into the
quit.
business? Oh, you quit? Okay.
Yeah, I quit. I had nothing, nothing. A lot of times I had zero evictions, no food stamps,
Yeah.
um, like a lot of times. And I would just start from the bottom. And I always believed that if I could start from the bottom with nothing, and then I could go and I can apply for a job and I could work that job, I can apply myself for the same thing for something that I love. So
Hmm.
I had no problem with starting from ground zero because I knew the work ethic was there.
Yeah. And
Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that to everybody because,
yeah.
a lot of people thought that I was like crazy. Like my mom would always say, like, you can't just do that. You can't just quit a job. And I would, be, having business meetings in Chicago, being flown out to my corporate job. And I'm like, mm, not today. I don't want to go anymore. I think I'm gonna just start a
Yeah,
clothing brand online. I think I'm gonna, go to LA and like just go figure out some other stuff, like just I was always like, I got it.
yeah, that's dope, and it's unique to everybody to how they approach certain things, and that's just
Hmm.
and congratulations to you. You know, what I'm saying for your business
Thank you.
success and stuff, and
Thank
continued
you.
success. Oh, I was gonna say you're gonna inspire a lot of people too. Just your story, that's and how you started from nothing and from 19 to where you are now, and people are just gonna be.
Absolutely.
And I think that may be the one of the important reasons why I do it. Just like I want to inspire people and show them they can do anything,
Hmm.
because anything's possible from
Anything's possible. It's the confidence, right?
yeah
Like the
confidence.
confidence. If you believe it, it's possible. If you work towards it, it's possible. Will it come overnight? Probably not. But if you're willing to work for it, it'll come.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot of patience from trading that I didn't have before. Obviously, I would quit jobs, or I
Hmm.
would, shut down a business, or I would move from a different city and start something else. So with trading and being a part of the stock market, I actually learned a lot of patience and a lot of self-discipline. So
Hmm.
now I'm a lot more structured than I've ever been when it came down to how I move in a business manner. Now I understand time management, and I just, I'm constantly working on just elevating when it comes to like every part, every aspect, you know?
Yeah. Patience is important, and there's a people on YouTube who don't who promote the opposite of patience. So you got to be aware that like when you're getting into like the stock market and crypto, there's like people who promote stocks more so than promoting the right way of investing.
Hmm.
Like there was this one YouTuber, he would talk about how all these cryptos like Ethereum to 20K. He said 2,500 by Valentine's Day. He was way off, you know what I'm saying? But so you got all these, so there's you got to be aware of like the energies that are like helping you and what you're paying attention to, like I said, just because
Absolutely.
you could be led in the wrong direction. But there is some good ones too. Like for
Yes, there is. And what I learned honestly, because I'm kind of like a beginning YouTube trader, right? A lot of my information came from social media when I got started. Reddit. I got started the same day that GameStop actually shot to
um
$500. That was my very first day in the stock market, and I bought
yeah,
shares of AMC. I was like just trying to like figure it out. I had no idea what was going on, but I was in a
yeah,
clubhouse room, and in the clubhouse room, I could hear all the people just saying, like, this is going here, this is going there. And I'm like, okay, let me get in, let me try to get in. They're like, okay, we're on Reddit. Everybody go to Reddit. So now I'm downloading Reddit to try to go get in these groups. And I've I've taken some lessons from the stock market. I'll put it that way. I've learned some lessons in these past 2.5 years trading, because sometimes I was not led by my own information, but led by
yeah.
others. So what I
Hmm.
learned is that, your due diligence is important. The
Yeah.
information, the research, the work that you put in is important. You can hear someone make a call out, but that doesn't mean necessarily buy it. The call out just gives you an indication to go and start studying. Go look it up, put it on a watch list, go
Mhm.
look into the company profile, see what they're offering, even if it's crypto, right? You can still go look at a white page and see what is this? What does it mean? How is this going to benefit what I look to invest in the long term? So we all have different investing strategies. So as you figure out yours or your trading strategy, it's
Yeah.
important for you to stick with that.
Yeah. And don't let the FOMO of anything in general, but them peer pressure you into to fear of missing out, and then you feel like you got to buy that stock because it's running out.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's a legendary first day. You know what I'm saying? GameStop. You know what I'm saying? My my
Hmm.
my first day was well, I had invested years prior, but that's like when I started putting money in for real. and I was buying stocks around January, and then when GameStop came around, I was actually it was a little too risky for me because it was kind of like that's just unheard of, you know what I'm saying? A stock going from 40 to like 400, and then they get like,
Mm-hmm.
and then it happened again in like July.
Mm-hmm.
That's
By
when
then,
I
I was fully invested. By July of that year, I would not stop talking stocks. I did not. I eat, sleep, and drink stocks. If nobody want to talk about stocks, I'm gonna go find a clubhouse room. I'm gonna go find a Twitter spaces where I can talk to other people about stocks. Like my French group in real life got very small.
yeah,
And now, of course, it's grown again because now a lot of people are here, like, okay, let's talk stocks. Now it's a conversation now, right? At first,
yeah,
it became something that I was so obsessed with that I would go to sleep at 8 p.m. and I would be back up at 4 o'clock a.m. I'm just right there, like, oh, the opening bell. I've already been up 2 hours. Like
yeah,
I love everything about the finance world. I feel like it's something that if we were to introduce this into schooling in a way of which I just actually experienced it, we would not have a lot of the issues with, the poverty that we have now in our country because this is a very, very viable skill and tool set that can change a lot of people's lives.
yeah. And on top of that, just teaching them like, business stuff in general, like LLCs and like
Hmm.
trust funds and all that. And
Exactly.
just things that, can help, people become wealthy in life. As well as, the law of attraction. I don't think they teach that. They should teach that, like law of attraction and like what manifestation truly is. I know it can be religious to some people, but it's actually like scientifically proven too. So like how can you not believe in one and the other? Like spirituality is if you don't believe in that, it's cool. But how can you not believe in science? Like what do you actually believe in? That's what I'd be thinking.
Like, what is this? What are you
Yeah,
led by?
yeah, because I'll be bringing certain things up, and they like I don't believe in the spiritual stuff, so then I'll be like, well, it's scientifically proven, and then I'll be like, I don't believe in science either. You can't help everybody, that.
Yeah, and I look at it like this, right? On this journey to the top, so to speak, as they call it, um, it's it's probably not that crowded up there, It's probably more crowded down where we started at the bottom because
Yeah,
it becomes comfortable down there. So on that way up, it might not be your initial group of 10 friends. It might be two that actually grow with you to that next level.
or
And
yeah,
it doesn't mean that we're not friends. It just means that as I'm growing in this direction, there's more information that I need to obtain. And, it's nothing personal. So I
yeah,
a lot of times I'm actually not as vocal with strangers, I would say, as far as like manifestation of wealth, but I am with like my family and friends, like I'm
yeah,
very, very like encouraging. Every day I'm calling someone saying, hey, did you do that? Did you do this?
word,
Like what, like let's go. I'm your friend that's gonna be like, hey, let's go. You want to get 1 million? Let's go. We can get it.
yeah, yeah, and holding them accountable to make sure they're doing it. You
Exactly.
need people in your life like that, uplifting you. And you also need people who are in alignment with what you're doing. Alignment is important. When you're in alignment and then someone else is not in alignment with you, they can, for one thing, throw off your energy. Like
Absolutely.
they could live in a poverty lack mindset where they're
Hmm.
throwing off all your karma and stuff, and
Hmm.
things is going well, and then when they come around, it's like your money's messing up. You're like, you got to go. So
Absolutely. And I've seen that so many times in my life personally, where, like, because I'm a person that I kind of believe real big, I dream real big, and I move on account of that. And I've had people say, well, I don't think that can happen. And like right there, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm like, that is not good for you. Now, me, I'm eventually going to get away from you and I'm going to do my thing. But for you, you
mm,
got to think good, think positive, think any and everything is possible. You have to.
where you gotta have this like confidence on like all levels, like and not just like in yourself, but like on a spiritual level, on like that this is you, and like nobody can take you off that, no matter like what they say. It's like a different energy, so to speak.
Absolutely.
You gotta
And
be
I do agree with spirituality being very much connected with manifestation because it's faith, right?
yeah,
It's believing in something that is unseen, you know? So that I definitely believe in faith and manifestation. I believe it works hand in hand. It's essentially the same thing, you know?
yeah. You gotta be energetically abundant. There's certain ways to do that. Vision boards, you know what I'm saying? Like I got a vision board here of just writing. Have you ever did the vision board thing or anything like that? Do you do anything
Say
like
it one more.
specific? Have you ever did anything with like vision boards, or is there anything you do from like setting intentions for manifestation? Like you said writing, you probably do it with writing. Is there
I do a
anything
lot of
else?
writing. I do have a vision board that I started at the top of the year. It's actually in my room. It's
Oh,
so when I wake up, I can see it just right there. I have a bunch of stuff, even just right here, whiteboards.
oh,
This
that's
is
I got the
just
whiteboard
one of
too.
them. Yeah, this is one. I have another one here, another one there, two here actually.
So
So
that's
yeah, so this is my 2023 vision board.
yeah,
So I made this probably like a couple of days before the new year. So on a lot of the spaces in the corner, I have highlighted about just different scriptures from the Bible. That's
yeah.
obviously one of my favorite books. Um, Here is like some farmland with some vegetables and some apples. That's
Oh,
very big to me.
dope.
Here's of course Bitcoin, Big Daddy Bitcoin. We love that.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
some land out in Costa Rica. I
Okay.
intend on buying a couple of acres. I have a project going on right now where that is going to come into fruition. Bitcoin's there because I want to own at least one full Bitcoin by
Excellent.
the end of this year. So by this end of this year, one full Bitcoin, that's my goal. So it'll keep increasing as time goes along.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good start
what
though.
else? Yes, yes, it's definitely a good start. And other than that, we have like just some things written down that I wanted to do, like, and it just spoke in like a past tense. So it says, I sold one business idea for 7 figures.
Oh,
I bought commercial property in the US and rented to retailers. I bought 5 acres of land in Costa Rica for agriculture. I make $100,000 quarterly trading stocks and options. So
oh,
I just basically wrote down things just as they've already have happened, you know.
oh, yeah.
So I believe that that's how like that's gonna help just get my mind to be like, okay, we're there. We just gotta work on it, you know.
No, I love the vision, bro. You had a lot of unique ideas on there. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I'm also big on reading, of course, because I'm really big on what like I would just say self growth, self development. So I
Yeah.
just recently started reading the Four Agreements. I
So,
read it a while ago, and now I'm just rereading it, and it's basically just it's basically being committed to yourself, right? It's just
okay.
basically like these four specific agreements that have have to do with like you being like responsible for yourself, right? Like what
Yeah.
is it that I want? How am I going to hold myself accountable? Like one of my favorite agreements is be impeccable with your words, meaning when you say something, mean it. When you say you're going to do something, do it. You know, be impeccable with your words, communicate properly, so therefore your manifestation can come correctly, right?
Yeah.
Um, that's so. This is a must read that I do every day. I'm also always journaling. So I'm always with notebooks and journals everywhere, literally. So
Mm,
this is my journal from the books from in my room. I got the Bible. I read this a lot now. So I'm just constantly reading to balance myself
okay.
and to understand like I said, I've had different times of wealth, like being 23 years old, having 6 figures, and to being 28 years old and sleeping on flattened mattress, that you would have to put a Band-Aid on and keep the air in. So
Yeah.
in my times of being up and down, I've had to realize that I lean on my faith in God a lot. I actually take a lot of time to pray, to ask God what it is that He wants of me and guide my steps. And a lot of that is what I attribute to success, right? Like to be able to have a passion that not only I enjoy, but also that feels guided by a higher power.
Yeah, I agree with you. And through the ups and downs, uh, there's like a lot of lessons. Like in 2021, uh, talking about AMC, I did an option for $440. It went and BlackBerry in the same week. So the BlackBerry one was only like $50, and that was like pretty much $500. By the end of the week, it was like $4,000. It was the holiday weekend. So it was a shorter week. It was the Tuesday going to Wednesday, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, and but I didn't sell because what I'm saying. I bought into the dream they were selling. You know what I'm saying. So, but it's a learning experience.
I was an avid AMCer. I was hashtagging AMC everywhere. I was
Yeah,
like AMC to the moon. I did the same thing with sheep. Luckily, I can say that there were times that, I've taken trades for AMC. And when I first bought AMC, I actually bought it at the top of what it was that day, which was around, well, it made it to the top of 21. I bought at 17 and didn't understand what was happening, and it dropped to $5.
damn.
So I was like, okay, well, I bought a bunch more to add on to that, and it averaged me down to about $7, where then it took off to like $40 or something like that.
It went as high as 72 and it almost went to 77. I think it went to 72 or 77. But
Hmm.
I think it didn't. I didn't think it passed 72 and it broke the support and it came down.
It did. Yep.
But
And
then
I was
it did the
tapped
same thing
out.
the next day. You said what?
Hmm. I was out by the time it broke support. I was out of there. I
Yeah.
was like, I was like telling everybody like it's over, guys. Like let's just wait, get your money out. And then I turned around and did the same thing essentially with Shiba Coin.
Yeah.
Dogecoin was my first coin that I invested in, and I did that on the first day that I bought AMC as well. So AMC was my first meme stock. Dogecoin was my
Oh,
first meme coin, and I bought Doge at 4 and 5 cents. I wrote that up. I flipped it up all the way until about 40 cents, and be
which
like before
Dogecoin?
it made it to 70. Hmm?
Dogecoin? You're talking about Dogecoin?
Dogecoin, yeah, yep.
So a story with that one, a friend of mine told me to get in, you know what I'm saying? I was like around 1 cent, but it was also below a cent. But I was also new to investing, so I put like $10 in, and then it dipped below a cent, so I put like $3 in, and then I had like
Mhm.
40, I had four, so I had 1,400 coins, and then it went up to like 72. I was patient with it. Like some people sold that at 8 cents and took the $200. You know what I'm saying? I think I finished with 1,000, but you know what I'm saying? It was a win.
Excellent.
Yeah, so
A win is a win, as they say.
yeah, that's a big win. That's like what, 10x, 100x, something like that. Yeah, so you
Yeah,
did.
I
What are you saying? Are you good?
1 second, my headset went off.
Oh, okay, okay. Are we good?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't hear you on my oh it died. All right.
Mm,
It's like I am gone, lady.
It died. Okay.
So what did you ask?
Oh no, I was saying but yeah, I was just saying that we do learn in the small the those losing moments when you're facing adversity.
Dang it.
And,
I can't hear you.
oh, you can't?
Oh, and my headset just went out. Hold on, let me
Damn.
try to charge it.
Okay, okay.
See if these will work in a second.
The same thing.
Dang it.
Yeah. It happens to me too. I gotta charge these even though they're wired.
Say it again.
I said I gotta charge these even though they're wired.
Right. You see, yeah, see, that's the thing that like it sucks, right? About all the devices now, you have to charge it all.
Yeah, I know. I be trying not to like go on a rant about it too much, but it doesn't make sense from a design standpoint. But yeah, I was saying, when you go from
Mm.
having six figures to nothing again, that can be scary to some people. How can you shift your mindset into like a more positive one when you're going through that?
For me, it was faith. It was my faith in God. It was there's a couple of scriptures that are very relevant to where it talks about God restoring you, in your in abundance after you're able to, have that moment of isolation, have that moment of gratitude, get back to that moment of humility. And, essentially he's humbled me a lot of times when it comes down to it, and I'm thankful for it now as I'm like realizing what happened, because it was like, well, I probably wasn't prepared for it in the same sense that I thought I was.
Yeah.
Maybe my attitude wasn't, you know, proper, or maybe I wasn't being grateful, or
Mm,
wasn't, sharing. You just never know where, it's like things will shift around in order for you to be able to do them again with more information and knowledge.
that's dope. It's 111. You know what I'm saying? It's a synchronicity right there. New beginnings, manifestation.
Hmm.
In our lives, we are constantly in a state of getting ready for the next thing and being built up for what's next. We may not see
Absolutely.
we may not see what we're being prepared for, but we are essentially being prepared at all times.
I agree. I agree. And ultimately, the only skill that you can have that will prepare you for like the unknown is faith, right? That
Yeah.
spiritual confidence, that faith, that's because you're going into something you don't know what's going to happen. Like you don't know,
Mhm.
and essentially I believe that the preparation comes with the journey sometimes, because sometimes you're thrusted into
Mm,
things that are really fast,
yeah.
like, for instance, my first time having six figures wasn't because of a business, but it was because of a medical malpractice when I was about 23 years old. So that actually thrusted me into a different tax bracket, but it did not, unfortunately, I did not prepare my mindset for what
Okay.
was going to happen. I was still in like a party mode. I was like, what? This is crazy. It's
Yeah,
lit.
it's lit.
So, I did all this stuff that you would think you should do. I had a Benz, I was in Miami, I lived here, and I traveled, and I had a little puppy with a stroller, and I would go shopping in LA all the time. And like
Yeah.
what I believe that what we see, right, like especially with social media or reality stars, you see this almost instant picture of what success in your mindset
Mhm.
looks like. So
Mhm.
you almost like I went through that moment where I bought the things in order to try to feel successful. But what I've learned now as a trader, a day trader, and as a investor is that it's the journey, it's the
Mm.
work that actually makes you feel the success, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't feel successful because I've traded $1 million and I've bought everything I wanted. I feel successful because I actually understand the knowledge behind the
Mm.
skill, so
Yeah. And some of those people, like just say for a rapper, for example, they'll have a richer image than what they actually have. And
exactly.
you know that lifestyle or promoting that lifestyle can be dangerous, or just seeing that and just thinking that's how you have to be. You can be modest and still have like they're like billionaires wearing white t-shirts, you know what I'm saying? Like the most basic clothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can live a minimalist lifestyle, and that doesn't define how much money you have or what you did. You know, success is
Exactly.
success is based
Exactly.
on the journey and the work you put in. It's about like taking action on what you want in life. You may want like to become an author or start that business, but you just got to take action and take that leap forward blindly, but at the same time constantly get better at what you want to do, or whether that's writing or music, you just constantly put that work in to become better at your craft.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I remember earlier you stated, like when you have a passion for it, it's less draining, to your energy. And I believe that very much so, being that when it came to like me learning the skill of day trading, it was something that I wanted to do. It was something that I didn't need an alarm clock to get up to do it. I was just up, and my body would go to sleep at 8 o'clock because I knew I wanted to be up for the morning. And it was like
Yeah,
I wanted to do it, and I had never committed myself to anything remotely that informative ever since probably grade school when I was made to do it. Other than that,
yeah,
I would probably be a part of something for a little bit and then I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm bored.
yeah,
But with this, I was like, oh no, this is it. I'm like, I could literally be, trading on the beach with my feet in some white sand, like and doing
yeah,
this. And even on the days where, like you said, like losses come, right? So even on days where you take those losses in the market, you still have a love for it. Like I've sat
yeah,
right here at the same desk, like trading and watching a play, during the FOMC meeting back in October, like, and I called a play and it went up. It's like 197%. And I'm just sitting here. I'm like, yes, let's go. And for some reason, I'll tell you why, I'll elaborate why, but I did not close the trade. My mind wanted more. Like it was like my mind was telling me 300 and then it could go to 500 and maybe 1,000%. And then I like sat there and then it literally dropped out. It dropped out of the sky. And I was like watching it all the way until it was negative 97%. I just started crying. I literally started crying because I'm like, why did you do that? I'm like, what just happened here? Like, what was this? Like, what are you doing?
mm,
Like, and I had a moment where I had to deal with myself and my thoughts and my psyche, and I had to deal with the fact that, like, is this greed? Are you not understanding that, there's going to be more if you take and you can learn from that and then give that back, you can keep it rotating. But if you just want it all at once, you're not going to fully be able to grasp it anyway. So now I'm like very much so in the know of consciously when I'm taking trades or when I'm being a part of projects. You don't have to want it all in order to have success. You can just
yeah,
get your piece.
yeah. And an important thing is like it with stocks, for example, when it runs up, so it goes from you're up 197%. You may not take all your investment out, but you take out like your initial investment and then a little bit more than that, so you have something to play with, and
Mm-hmm.
then you can like just go with like winnings and just see where that gets
Yes,
you. Yeah.
exactly.
Uh.
Exactly. Take profit. Take profit. I hear it all the time. Now I can hear it in my head. Take profit. Take profit. Scale down. You're like, it's okay. It's not going to go to a million. I think that from trading meme stocks, I got used to like 1,000%, gains. And I'm like, this is
Yeah.
what the market is. And it's like, no, sometimes the market is going to move 2% and you got to be okay with that.
Yeah, and that's not like normal territory 1,000%. Like
E-
I was doing the same thing with you was doing with the when I was at 4,000, I was thinking like 10,000.
Yep. Yep. Like you even start spending the money, right? Like your mind starts to say, ooh, especially if you hold it overnight. You're like,
Uh,
wait, when I wake up, I'm about to buy this, I'm about to get
uh,
that.
yeah,
Mm,
I wasn't thinking like that. I was thinking like if I get 10,000, I can get half of it, I can get an Ethereum. I was thinking about how I was gonna invest it again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. You had already started spending the money. Like that's like in my mind, I do the same thing. Like, okay, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna buy that, I'm gonna put that there, I'm gonna transfer that. And it's like, girl, you haven't even closed the trade out. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like just because you've seen it there, like it's not done. Like,
Yeah.
so I've learned a lot about just my behaviors, the behaviors of the market and society. I think psychologically, finance and wealth has a lot to do with kind of like our disposition, our
Yeah.
disposition on how we ultimately like just feel about things, how we view things, our environment of how we grew up with things. Do you have like a scarcity mindset? You know what I mean? Or where you're just you're like, I'm not putting my money in there. I don't want my money to
Yeah.
go down. Or are you just playing kind of like a all or nothing game where it's like, I don't even know what's going on. I'm just gonna put 10,000 in and hope for the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had both moments.
Yeah. Me too. I mean, but it's about what I said earlier. Balance $100. You could invest $50 into one thing.
Mhm,
You don't have to invest 100 into one thing, or you can invest 25 into one thing and diversify.
mhm,
And and,
absolutely.
and a lot of those not just with stocks, but in life in general, you can take that patience, not having to rush everything, and
Mhm,
that's kind of something I dealt with and may still deal with because I go so fast because
mhm,
I just want to go so fast, like I want to get things done, but then when I'm rushing, there'd be two things I do. It never comes out the way I want it to, and then I'll have doubts about it. And two, I burn myself out because I'm rushing to get it done, opposed to like being patient with it and just letting it get done. Like that's something I
mhm,
do with songs, and I learn to slow down a little bit, a little.
mhm. Is sometimes like you say, I think you said earlier about kind of like being in the moment, like it's
Yeah,
okay to kind of like be in the moment of like what it is and just kind of like, okay, well, let's just take a break even, right? You could
yeah,
take a break. I had to learn that from day trading where, it's important to not overtrade in the market. You might wake up, you have a good opening, boom, you've made your percentage for the day, and then
yeah,
you would get this feeling like I'm gonna trade again. And it's like, wait a minute, you have to you have to tell yourself, like, wait a minute, it's okay. Just because it's here don't mean you have to, like it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's that adrenaline that when you make a winning trade, you had that adrenaline, like just it would just carry through my morning. It was amazing having you on today. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Thank you.
Likewise. Yay, thank you for having me.
Thank,
Um, Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
thank,
And you're very knowledgeable, and it was definitely a pleasure to speak with you as well.
thank you. I appreciate that. Likewise.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you soon, love.
All right, talk to you soon.